Utility Sports Video today is brought to you by Manscaped, the best company in the world when it comes to men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family's jewels. Manscaped recently launched the ultimate men's hygiene bundle, the Performance Package 4.0. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer just for you from Utility Sports. Use code UTILITY20 for 20% off plus free worldwide shipping at manscaped.com. Again, use code UTILITY20, UTILITY20 at manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping. Does your current hygiene routine leave you with a whole bunch of nicks, cuts, and overall just a hassle? Well, luckily for you, the Performance Package 4.0 has arrived, and wow, is it a game changer. Manscaped sent us this package so we could share how great it is with you, our awesome viewers. Inside this package, you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker nose and hair trimmer, the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, the Crop Reviver toner, Performance Boxer briefs, and a free travel bag to hold your goodies. The Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer is waterproof, has a phenomenal LED light to help you with precise accuracy, and is a 4th generation trimmer which features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin safe technology. Additionally, the Weed Whacker nose and hair trimmer is waterproof and does a really good job keeping your skin safe and protected. The Crop Preserver and ball deodorant plus Crop Reviver toner are game changers when it comes to your hygiene routine. Trust me, you'll never look back and your balls will thank you. Performance Boxer briefs and the travel bag are free gifts on behalf of Manscaped as part of this awesome Performance Package 4.0. I love wearing and rocking all of Manscaped's products, and you should too. Make sure to check them out using code UTILITY20 on manscaped.com.
Hey there, and welcome back to Utility Sports. In today's video, we are going to be covering a 3-team trade that definitely needs to happen, and all the teams involved, it makes sense for. It's beneficiary for everybody to be involved in this deal. If you are interested in a really good deal, we have one for you. If you use code UTILITY20, you get 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com for all your Manscaped needs. Now, jumping into the actual deal itself. We did this in the trade machine. You have the Cavaliers getting Joe Harris in the deal. The Nets, they received Jerami Grant. And the Detroit Pistons end up with Ricky Rubio, a 2nd-round pick from Houston, 2022 first-round pick, and also a 2028 first-round selection. So they are getting a lot of assets in the door for a very, very productive player and a player that can help out the Nets long-term. So we're going to go ahead and transition right away in terms of what the Cavs are getting. So Sheldon, you have Joe Harris coming in. Why is this beneficial to this team? I know it's kind of a big deal with his contract duration. That's a key element in all of this.
It really is. Cleveland's in the midst of a phenomenal season in which you see a real turnaround of this franchise. Darius Garland has really picked up his performance. Jarrett Allen has proved to be worth every single penny that they gave him this past offseason. And then Evan Mobley is really the game changer there. He's the guy who really elevated what this team could be. That front court pairing of him and Jarrett Allen is phenomenal. And I think it's clear that this Cavaliers team does need a little bit more shooting. And even though Joe Harris is dealing with an ankle injury, which is really why right now that the Nets would be willing to move on from him, just because he hasn't been available, he has 2 more years after this season. And right now, the Cavaliers do have Ricky Rubio, who's an expiring contract, and they are hard capped as well, which is why this really works well, because Rubio makes $17.8 million, Joe Harris $17.3, so he fits in perfectly there. Of course, they can't take in more money than they're sending out, so he's one of the few players that really do make a lot of sense that fits into that Ricky Rubio contract that they're willing to move. They do give up Houston's 2nd-round pick in this and also their own 1st, but when you consider where they're at in the standings, that pick at best is going to be around pick 22, maybe pick 23 potentially. So you consider that saying, would we be willing to give up pick 23 and say pick 33 in an expiring contract for Joe Harris? I think the obvious answer to that is yes. Even if he doesn't come back healthy this season, the long-term window there in Cleveland makes sense. He's only 30 years old, and he has a skill set that is not going to diminish within the next few years. He's going to be a stationary shooter for them. Can also use them coming off of pin down screens and a lot of off ball action, which I think really opens up the floor for their big men and also keeps a little bit more spacing around Darius Garland, who is a do-it-all point guard right now for this team. And then you come back into the offseason, consider what you want to do with Colin Sexton. They have a lot of open doors here in Cleveland. There's a lot of different avenues to get better. And I think Joe Harris is the player who makes the most sense for them. I think he's a better fit than a guy like Karis LeVert, who's been rumored to Cleveland. I think Joe Harris really is the player that makes the most sense, considering what this core is, and also the fact that you're only giving up a late first-round pick this year and an early second-rounder to do it with the guy under contract, even if he doesn't play.
Yeah, this is really good for Cleveland. Getting a guy like Joe Harris in the building, stock's a little bit down by a little bit lower on him. It's absolutely a good opportunity for them to really extend him out. You have those extra years of control, which is phenomenal for them. Yes, they have to ship out 2 draft selections, but at the end of the day, they're a competitive team right now, and to compete in this East, that's what you need to do. So good opportunity for the Cavs to buy now. Now we look at the Brooklyn Nets, and this is probably the biggest element of the trade. It's Jerami Grant, the best player in the entire deal, is going to Brooklyn. The Brooklyn Nets are in a position where they are contending for a title. They have to push all the chips forward, and they don't really have to give up a whole lot to do so. Sheldon, talk about the impact that Jerami Grant could have on this offense, his overall fit with this system.
He could be massive here for head coach Steve Nash and this Brooklyn Nets team. When you consider some of their strengths and weaknesses, I think he fits in very nicely to complementing all of it, especially with what's on the table right now in Brooklyn. Of course, rumors that they will listen to offers for James Harden. Of course, the player that makes the most sense to slide into that deal would be Ben Simmons from Philadelphia. And just given the fact that Kyrie Irving is playing every other game, essentially, not playing at home, playing on the road, though, Jerami Grant kind of does make sense here with Kevin Durant out, potential questions about James Harden's future there in Brooklyn. He's a really good player defensively who can take tough assignments, but offensively can space out into the corner. But he's also going to have opportunities here in home game settings where he's going to be probably the second scoring option, either when Kevin Durant's out or when James Harden's no longer there. And of course, when Kyrie Irving's not present and playing, there is opportunity here for him to get what he wants in this deal, which is a bigger role. Brooklyn, of course, as well, is panicking right now. At least I would be if I was in their GM shoes, because you're looking at a massive deal where you sent out a ton of picks, and now the key player you got in that, James Harden, might not want to stay. Kyrie Irving is way up in the air. Kevin Durant's injured. The Nets, who are considered the championship favorites for the past 2 seasons, might not even get to the finals with this roster, which is absolutely mind-boggling. And pretty much everything that could go wrong has. And I think Jerami Grant, who's a little bit younger than Joe Harris, you send out a guy who's not playing for you currently and try and bring in someone who's averaging 20 points a game on fairly efficient shooting numbers, not the best shooting numbers, but somewhat efficient. You put him around other good offensive players. I think he's going to be more efficient and play in a better system for himself and also help you on the defensive end of the floor.
Yeah, I definitely like this for the Brooklyn Nets. He's a guy that can score, and obviously you have a lot of cooks in the kitchen, so it's going to be interesting to see how they can all coexist at the end of the day. But there's a lot of firepower to this offense, and it's terrifying for teams heading into the postseason. And now finally we take a look at the Detroit Pistons, and the Detroit Pistons have a really good opportunity to sell high on a guy that has been playing well with this team. They're in a rebuilding phase. However, they have a win now player that they can ship out and get a lot of assets for. In the deal, they would be taking in Ricky Rubio and then getting those 4 other draft choices rather. So what do you make of this for the Detroit Pistons? Is this max value? Can they get more? Are they going to get less when it actually happens? What's your thought on the return?
This is the top value for Jerami Grant. And I think Pistons fans are a little disillusioned with what he really is around the league. I think a lot of Pistons fans feel like they're going to get a really good young player like Patrick Williams and maybe a 1st or 2 first-round picks. That's not the value. They're going to take in a contract like Ricky Rubio's, and it's going to be good for them because they get off of this contract at the end of the year. It really doesn't hurt them in any way, especially when they're not winning games right now. And in fact, helps you probably bottom out a little bit more so your pick goes up a little bit higher. Maybe you get back into the draft for a guy like Jabari Smith or Jaden Ivey a little bit higher. Right now, they're currently slated 2nd. Very possible they get up into the top spot, and then they're a lock for the top 5 pick. And then you also consider that you're bringing in Cleveland's pick, gives you a little bit more draft flexibility, allows you to move other picks up. Maybe you move back a couple of years, pick up more assets. And then also that Houston pick, 2nd rounder, it's pretty valuable. It's going to be a top 35 pick for sure in the draft this year. It gives you a little bit more draft flexibility as well. Perhaps you would try and package that Cleveland pick and the Houston pick to move up toward the back end of the lottery. Very possible you could pull something like that off. And then you also get a 2028 first round pick from Brooklyn here, which right now I know a lot of people are probably looking at that saying, well, I don't know. But if Troy Weaver feels like he has any job security at all, and he probably should with all the mess that he inherited there in Detroit, this makes sense for him because I don't know what Brooklyn's going to be next year or 2 years from now, let alone in 2028. Very possible this pick, if you get it unprotected, could very well land in the top 10, even the top 5 potentially. So it could be a really nice asset for them later on, whether they're competing at that point and want to trade it for another good player, or if they want to just add a nice young player to an already established core, which features Cade Cunningham and a few other nice pieces. Very possible here. I think this is the top value for Jerami Grant. I don't see them getting a better offer than this, which is why it makes sense for all 3 teams here, because Detroit's really the one that you need to motivate, because they have Jerami Grant on under contract for next season yet as well. And it seems like he is content there in Detroit, but they would need to get incentivized. And I think this is the best way to do it.
So now looking at the holistic trade, who do you deem as the winner of this one? Who gets the best value? Who really takes advantage of this trade if it is presented to all 3 teams?
I really do think this is a 3-winner trade. I think it does make sense for all 3 teams involved. Cleveland gets a guy who fits their long-term core. Brooklyn gets a player who really elevates what they could be this year, which is where all the stakes are right now for them. And then Detroit gets maximum value. I would have to pick my winner to be the Detroit Pistons. Just the fact that you're getting 2 first-round picks and you're also getting an expiring contract, which opens some salary cap flexibility for you. Additionally, you also add in a high second-round pick for a player who probably doesn't do a ton for you down the road in terms of where his long-term prime is going to be at and where this current roster is at. They're not really in a place where they're going to be competing, and adding in this many assets for a player like Jerami Grant, I think, is phenomenal value. So Detroit is my narrow winner, but I think all 3 sides come out on top in this deal.
Well, you heard it here first. This is a very, very fair trade for everyone. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. If you do enjoy NBA content, hit the subscribe button. Also, hit a like if you do enjoy this kind of stuff. Sean works very hard on making these trade videos, so let us know in the comment section below who's the winner of this deal, and we will talk to you guys in our very next one.
Remember, this is specifically for our viewers here at Utility Sports. A 20% off discount code plus free shipping when you use the code utility20 at manscaped.com. Yes, 20% off plus free worldwide shipping at manscaped.com when you use code utility20. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.